Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I was deciding if I should say this in the beginning or towards the end. But I'm going to say it in the beginning just in case some people don't make it towards the end. Now I've been loving what's been going on Days of Our Lives Beyond Salem. I have. And if they make it into an actual series, like an actual main soap opera or whatever, I definitely would consider watching it. It's days like this that it makes it kind of tough to actually review more than two soap operas. Because it's already 11 o'clock now. I have to wake up early in the morning tomorrow. And, I mean, I can do it, but it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of a lot. And I generally like to try to do my reviews earlier. This way people can sit there and watch it that same day. Days like today makes it a little kind of tough. And I apologize for it coming out so late as far as even this one is concerned. But, yeah. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit there and do the Beyond Salem for a couple of reasons. One, as much as I like it, whatever goes on in that show, which is just like a little special right now, doesn't affect this show in the slightest that I can see so far. Everything that goes on there is just like a what-if sort of thing. Not really a what-if sort of thing, but just kind of like the stuff that goes on there doesn't affect what goes on in here. There was a little preview in Beyond Salem that made it look like Lonnie was going to get shot. Obviously, that couldn't happen because then they would have to sit there and try to explain it on the show, which they have not done so far as like their adventures and stuff. Like the whole Pauline and Lonnie stuff and Miami stuff, it's like they didn't even talk about it. It's like it didn't even happen. So, that's number one. Number two, again, it's just really late. And I just do not see myself trying to watch it and do another review on that one. You know? So, if it comes into a regular series, then I definitely will. But for right now, I'm kind of just going to stick to this one. And then I guess I'll just wait when it, you know, if it does go to series. And yes. So, Philip. Oh, Philip. So he comes over to talk to Gabby and Jake, and he's pretty much ready to fire them. You know, he pretty much says, "Gabby, I don't know why you're spying on me. I don't know your reasons. Whatever it is, you're out, and that's it." Jake had the foresight to see this coming. So I guess he implanted like spyware in Gabby's computer to make it seem like, you know, she's a victim too. Maybe it's some sort of, you know, like another company or whatever, so that they're trying to get our secrets or whatever. I'm sitting there thinking like, at first I was like, are you kidding me? But then I was like, you know what, when Jake explained, you know, living in that house and pretty much kind of like watching how they operate as far as like checkers and chess and stuff like that. You know, planning for what's ahead, like just in case that did happen. I was like, okay, alright, that's smart. And of course Philip buys it, and not only does he buy it, the minute that Gabby is like, well, I wonder what company would sit there and try to go at us like that. She didn't even have to sit there and say a name, and already Philip was like, Brady. So he makes a beeline all the way to his place, and he accuses Brady of, you know, corporate espionage. At this point, Brady's like, you know what, it's been a long night, I'm out. And he just leaves. Kind of curious why he doesn't actually live there anymore. I'm really curious about that. Now Brady, I think Chloe at this point just had enough. Because when they get back to the house, Lonnie's there, and Lonnie's like, she sits there and fills him in on the whole Bonnie shooting close to Lockhart, dead body, all that good stuff. So, with that being said, Brady, like a snake, which is funny because he always sits there and goes at Philip for like underhanded tactics and just kind of being like a weasel or whatever. But in reality, Brady's no better. He's actually almost worse because he's just a hypocrite. He's all like, oh, well, there's a dead body there, and, Bonnie may make bail and come after you, so you should come home with me tonight. And I'm sitting there like, wow, Brady, you're not even sitting there trying to be smooth about it anymore, are you? You're just like, F it. And Chloe was like, you know what, I'm done with this, this tug of war that you and Philip has been playing, have been sitting there, going at me with. And, you know what, just to be fair, I felt like Chloe really liked the attention of actually having two men fight over her. So the fact that she said that, was like, okay, well, you knew that about, quote unquote, 2 decades ago. You didn't do anything about it then, did you? No, because you liked the attention. That kind of irked me a little bit. But, she was done. She was like, yo, listen, you're clearly not going to sit there and respect my relationship with Philip. And you need to just go and just leave. So, Brady apologizes. Brady apologizes for, him, trying to, once again, flirt with Chloe. But, of course, I felt like that just didn't of course that didn't last, because he was like, oh, you know what day it almost is? And it's, she's like, our anniversary. It's like, oh, I remember it was just such a great day, and I lift your veil, and you're so beautiful, and you're smiling. I'm like, bro, really? I'm literally watching this scene like, you just apologized for practically being a jackass, and you decide, nah, that's cool. Let me just continue to be a jackass. And flirt with her once again by trying to go down memory lane. Anyway, of course, she saw right through her. She was like, Brady, are you kidding me? They start talking a little bit more, and that's when Philip comes in there, and, he accuses Brady of espionage. He leaves, and at this point, Philip was like, listen, you need to leave, you need to leave Titan. And I'm like, bro, how do you just walk in the house, accuse Brady, and then tell her, oh, you need to leave that company? Like, just demand it. Like, who the hell you think you are? But then again, this is the same guy who says, quote unquote, she's my woman or something like that. Like, she's property or something. But, Chloe's like, listen, you have no proof that he did any of this stuff. Well, I'm going to find it. And when I do, I'm taking him down. And you're leaving. And Chloe's like, alright, fine. But, if it turns out that it's not true, well, I never want to sit there and hear you sit there and talk about Brady ever again. And they shake on it. I'm like, at this point, I'm just looking at this whole situation like, one of y'all should just call it quits. Either Chloe needs to call it quits of Philip and his jealousy, or Philip needs to sit there and be like, you know what, Chloe, I can't do this with you anymore, because I still don't like the fact that, when Philip walked in, you saw those two in bed. And even though she was like, oh, well, nothing happened, and he had a bad back and everything like that, I'm like, okay, Chloe. If he was in bed with Mimi, but nothing happened, would you still have that same energy? So, I mean, to be honest, I just kind of look at it like, Philip, maybe you need to just kind of take a step away from Chloe for a little bit and just kind of just chill, because this is not a good look, and I can't imagine being jealous and angry all the time, sitting there thinking that every time she's not with me, she's with Brady, and Brady's sitting there trying to get a hold of her. It's like, after a while, I feel like that's just so taxing. Oh, Paulina, 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 Paulina. So she's sitting down there, talking to the twins, and she's like, "Oh, well, you could just call me Grandma." Now Abe walks in there, and Abe is like, what? You're not really her grandma, right? Because of X, Y, and Z. So why would you say that? And Paulina, literally, I felt like she just kind of threw out this lie, and just to see, well, you know what? If it doesn't work, I'm screwed. She pretty much was like, oh, well, if one day me and you get married, then, I can be like that grandma, through marriage. Abe does not say anything for at least a good 2 minutes. At least 2 minutes. And she's like, is everything alright? Now, granted, I'm not going to lie. That whole, him being that silent would make anyone feel uncomfortable. But Abe pretty much was like, the thought has crossed my mind. And I'm looking at this whole situation. I was like, that is the only way that this scene and this storyline can kind of move forward, is if he actually already thought about it. Because if he didn't think about it, and she just kind of just threw out marriage out of nowhere, well, that would have been a really awkward conversation. But yeah, he was saying that he thought about it for a while, and one day, meet the right person, everything like that, and see what happens. So it's one of those things where it's like Paulina had another dingbat moment, and it just happened to pay off for her, because he was thinking the same thing. Not like her walking out in Miami with an expensive jewelry, having a bunch of men sit there and say, I will shoot you if you don't give me your jewelry, and her sitting there saying, no, you're going to have to pry it off my cold, dead hands. Now, that's the level of dingbadness that she didn't achieve on this show. She didn't achieve that level. So, anyway, they hug and they kiss, and they move forward. And of course, Abe says he loves her, and she says she loves him, and I'm sitting there looking at this like, when this whole house of cards just falls down, I'm gonna make sure I get this. Make sure I get that, just for that whole thing. Now the last scene is with Ava, it's with Rafe and EJ, Rafe and Eli. Rafe and Eli. So, Rafe is sitting there looking at pictures of Nicole. I don't understand this guy sometimes. He seems like he's so honest Abe, like very Boy Scoutish. Yeah, I heard that he actually covered up a murder. The character, he baffles me. So he's sitting there looking at pictures of Nicole, and Eli comes in there, and he pretty much is like, yo, listen, so like, are y'all done? Have you figured out who you want to be with? And Rafe sits there and tells him the whole story about Ava, their fight. Nicole kind of keeping her distance and everything like that. And, I just felt like throughout that conversation, even though Rafe was like, yeah, I just want to be with Ava, and, she agreed to step back, and I kind of looked at it, and yada, yada, yada. I have a feeling that Eli's like, yeah, he still wants to be with Nicole. I felt like that. I literally felt like that's what he took away from that whole conversation. Now, of course, you have Nicole and Ava talking. At this point, Ava just wants to clear the air, make sure there's no unresolved feelings or anything like that. Ava even sits there and says, yeah, Rafe did feel something for her. but, you know, he's going to put that aside to kind of focus on their relationship. Which Nicole didn't even know at the time. But again, it didn't matter because Nicole was like, she's going to sit there and just take a step back and, you know, let the relationship, you know, have a go at it. I mean, hell, even Ava was like, you know, I'm really appreciative of you doing that. Funny, well, not really funny, but the reason why Ava was there is because she wanted to apply to work there as a cook. And she was like, you know, listen, I can't sit there and work at Basic Black because, well, let's be honest, it's just going to be way too awkward. So that's the reason why she was there. I felt like they kind of cleared the air a little bit. They cleared the air up until Rafe came in there. You know? Because I know Ava was like, listen, are you sure that's what, you know, are you sure you're okay with that? Are you sure you're okay with stepping back and not being with your friend Rafe? You know, y'all been together for a while. Are you sure you're okay with that? She's like, yeah, it'll be fine. Rafe walks right through the door. And it was just awkward as hell at that point. Even as Rafe left, I mean, even as Nicole left, you know, Ava was like, are you sure everything is good? And at this point, Rafe was like, you know what, listen, we're good, everything's good, let's just not talk about it. The minute that Ava went to go freshen up, literally, not even 5 seconds, and this guy's sitting there looking at a picture of Nicole. And he's looking at, you know, if he wants to erase it or not. And I'm like, erase it. Erase it. You know what she looks like. Erase it. You don't need to have that. You don't need to have pictures of her on your phone. That's not that I'm sitting there saying that's evidence. But like, you don't have any more films for her, so you won't mind erasing her picture. Of course he doesn't erase his picture. I mean, of course he doesn't erase her picture. You know, it's not just saying to Eli that, you know, Ava's the one that he wants to sit there and be with, and I'm just like, you know, I don't know if I should sit there and call it buyer's remorse or what in his case, but he's still lying to Ava, he's lying to Nicole, and he's lying to himself. But it was a nice, funny scene. Nicole wound up meeting. Well, Brady wound up meeting up with Nicole. Nicole was sitting down, eating ice cream. And, you know, they both sit down for a little bit. And Brady's like, yo, let me get in on that. So they're both eating ice cream to kind of, you know, eat their feelings away. I've never done that. I've never been, like, heartbroken or whatever to the point where I just want to eat ice cream or anything. I don't know what that's like. I mean, I know what heartbreak is like, but not eating my feelings. It's interesting. Yep, Gabby and Jake dodged a bullet because of Jake quick thinking. I feel like their plan is probably going to be, I feel like their plan may not work out because both of them wants to be CEO. Now, granted, Gabby did sit there and think of the idea first. She's been running her own company longer. It makes more sense for Gabby to be the CEO. Jake, on the other hand, is like, nope, I want to be CEO. I want to do that. I'm like, bro, what's the difference if you're CEO or if she's CEO? You're both, like, why does that matter? I feel like, why does that matter so much? I feel like them bickering, them going at each other, is going to want to be in their downfall. Unfortunately, it's going to actually have to come into cause of Philip and his relationship. Which, let's be honest. Being honest, I felt like that was probably on a downward spiral anyway because of Philip's jealousy. Yeah, that probably wasn't going to wind up lasting too long anyway. Now, before I go, I want to give a special shout out to, and I want to make sure I say your name right, Shakira. And if it's wrong, I really apologize. Because she sent me this info of, well, we're going to be getting a new Sarah Horton. which is great because that will fill up one of the holes in this relationship. I think her name, Adrena? I think that's how you pronounce her name. Adrena. From Bold and Beautiful. And Young and Restless. Which they're... no, never mind. Anyway, she's from 2 other soap operas prior. So... I know a lot of people was they're probably wishing that they would have got back the other Sarah Horton. I'm okay with it just for the simple fact that, well, I didn't really know that Sarah Horton that much. So I'm not gonna, I don't have that much of an attachment towards her. And I feel like they need to do something with that hole. You know, with that whole Sarah Horton hole. So I want to thank you again, Shakira, for sending me that on Instagram. And with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. See you in the next video.